I'd say two primary things. The first thing was, although my research is focused on digital twins, I had been exposed to a completely new paradigm in digital twins using agent-based models. So that was completely new for me from a technical perspective to learn about how can agent-based models be used, as well as machine learning models, also can physics-based models. But then the second thing, which I think has probably been more valuable for our future career, is the fact that we wanted to integrate our code into the company's code as well, or kind of include it in their code ecosystem or code base. And so having really solid software engineering principles is really important. And obviously compared to a PhD or when you're doing research code, it's very different to when you're writing code for a company. So in that case, that was probably another big skill that I gained of how to write more dependable and proper software engineering code using proper software engineering principles. Just recently we kind of wrapped up finishing up the code, and we were able to extract some insights from it. And it was really interesting to see that the digital twin that we've developed was actually able to reproduce a lot of the phenomena in the industry that we're kind of focusing on with the company. But probably more importantly was showing that to our stakeholders. So they were really excited by that. They could see that actually a lot of what they wanted to see our model reproduce, it was doing that. And there's also kind of explainable, we could explain why it was behaving in a certain way. And I think that's the power of digital twins. And I think for me, that was one of the big things I gained from it. Yeah. Because there's been such a focus on development not just for research, or development of code not just for research, but also developing code for the purposes of actually using it in a code base. I think like the software engineering principles I've gained have been really useful. So for example, one of the things I've been doing as part of the internship network is doing a kind of software engineering project as well to kind of strengthen or kind of really improve and step up my kind of coding, I guess, effectively, especially for these kind of projects. And the second thing I've gained going back to the PhD is hopefully a kind of a better perspective on trying to understand not only is this applicable, is the work that I'm doing applicable from an academic perspective, but actually is it industrially relevant? Like what's the why behind that? What's the motivation behind it? So I think that's been another big thing as part of the project. So with the company we're working with, there's a particular kind of industrial phenomena that they're interested in, and but people understand it from a qualitative perspective, but not really quantitative. So their hypothesis was, okay, we can use a digital twin to try and coax what that, try to understand that quantitatively. And so by doing that for them, we've got to the end of the project where we can actually turn around and say, here are models able to reproduce that phenomena. This is the reason why we think it's occurring, and for them that was like the kind of thing they wanted to gain from that. So I think that was the biggest impact that it's had. And on top of that, we've kind of taken it a step further, and now that we're starting to kind of integrate it into their code base, they're quite excited to see, can we use now the digital twin to not just understand something, but predict things in the future? How will the market or the industry behave whenever something occurs in it, as an example? So I'd say definitely apply, first of all. And I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is to have a clear motivation for why you're applying. So kind of have that why in the back of your mind, and especially when you answer the questions in the application, you need to make it clear that, you know, there's a kind of underlying reason for why you're wanting to do an internship, join the internship network. So for example, for me, it was to gain a better understanding of how does my research apply to industry, and how can I better motivate my research from an industrial perspective. So having a kind of a good why is really in my opinion, is probably the biggest thing to have as part of the application, because hopefully that shines through whenever it's being assessed.